What's going good, YouTube? It's Yu Nagamura, aka Hatsu Bloodhaven, if you follow me on reality. Or Nagamura Studios. And today, we're doing an Odd Eyes deck profile. This is the deck that I've been playing for a number of months, number of years, and this is my current build for it. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. So we play 2 copies of the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. This card has an ability where it does double damage when it does battle, but we're mostly just going to be using these to get into our bigger boss monsters, our rank 7s, our fusions, etc, etc, etc. This card also can pop itself in the scale during the end phase to search us any Odd Eyes, essentially any Pendulum card with 1500 or less attack points, which is pretty good on its own because it gets us into one of our multitude of cores. We play one of the most important cards in the entire deck, Arc Pendulum at 3. This card, anytime an Odd Eyes card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon an Odd Eyes directly from the deck. This is a once per turn effect, but it is still very useful for getting us the exact card we need in that instance. Then we play 3 copies of the Arc Rebellion, or the Revolution Dragon, my apologies. This card is pretty good. Its main focus is not using any of its other effects. It's literally utilized as a send this card from your hand for 500 to search off any dragon monster in the entire deck. We played 3 copies of the Persona Dragon. This card, when in the pendulum scale, doesn't really matter to us too much but it is a 1 scale, so be aware of that. Its main thing is when it is played, it is negation for extra deck monsters, which can be very helpful. Then for one-off dragons, we run the 1 Pendulum Graph, which burns every time your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck. Our Phantom, anytime he does damage, he can burn. And Phantasma, which can be a pretty easy monster to get out and start pushing for an OTK. We play 3 copies of the Skull Acrobat Joker. We're moving on to our performance palette portion of the deck. This card can search anything in the deck except for Dark Worm, believe it or not. We play a single copy of the Monkey Board, which can search our little boy here, our Skull Acrobat Joker. We play a single copy of Celestial, who can search anything in the deck, as well as it having a multitude of effects for the monsters that we have when it's summoned, like being able to attack directly, being able to double its attacks, shutting off my opponent's effects. There's just a lot of things this card can do. We play a single copy of the Odd Eyes Synchron, and yes, this card is very, very good. It can change any card I need to into a tuner. It can be the tuner. It can special summon cards from the pendulum scales. It's a very strong card that has a multitude of effects that we can easily activate. And we play a single copy of our Dissolver, and Dissolver is just a walking polymerization. He's going to be our main way to getting into either Vortex, Venom, or Odd Eyes Venom. I'll explain how to get into Odd Eyes Venom in a future video. We play a single copy of Astrograph Sorcerer. Just having an extender is always nice. Anytime a card is destroyed by battle or card effect, we can special summon this card from our hand. And it's a level 7, so it synergizes well with our XYZ plays. Did I just draw? Yep. And we play 3 copies of the Supreme King Dark Worm. And Dankworm can be special summoned from the graveyard, and and when it is summoned, it searches off our Supreme King Gate Zeros. Now that's it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells and traps. Believe it or not, I'm running traps. We play 3 copies of the field spell, our Sky Iris. This card can pop any card on the field, and then search for us. Terraforming to get to it a little bit quicker, so we're playing 4 copies. Spiral Flame Strike. At 3, this card is both a searcher for Odd Eyes level 7 monsters, but it's also an attack spell, where we can destroy one card our opponent controls. So it's a very interesting card. We played 3 copies of the Duelist Alliance. This is just another card for us to use to search to get us to Arc Pendulum just a little bit quicker. We play a single copy of the Odd Eyes Fusion. This card is basically in here just for an alternative searching card, as well as a card that allows us to get into our Vortex Dragon. Then we play 2 copies of Dragon Shrine. This card allows us to send a dragon monster directly from the deck to the graveyard, and if it was a normal monster, we can send a second. This doesn't really matter too much in this build, but you can actually utilize a Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon with this card in combo with a Red Eyes Black Dragon to extend your plays further if you wanted to, if you can make space in the deck. Then I play a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is able to send any card to the graveyard. Again, Darkworm being the one that we're really trying to send here. It's just an additional one that we can send. And we run 2 and 1 because I can't run 3 Foolish. So we play 3 copies of Metaverse. Now this might not seem that good in this deck, but I really just wanted to play extra copies of Sky Iris in this deck. It's really what Metaverse is. It just allows me to activate it on my opponent's turn. And worst comes to worst, they think it's something that's actually good, and they try and pop it in the back row, and then I get my Sky Iris for free. So, yep. Moving on to the extra deck. We are playing a single copy of all of the extra deck monsters. We play our Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. He is just here to get us into our Odd Eyes Venom Dragon off of the Gate Zero's effect. We play a single copy of Vortex. Vortex is able to negate and bounce a card, so very, very strong. And that's all the fusions we play. Then we play a single copy of Clearwing Synchro Dragon. This card's actually really useful in this deck, and it's also a way for us to get into our Odd Eyes Wing Dragon. And Wing Dragon is pretty good. Mostly have to utilize Synchron's effect, but we can also utilize a Boral Savage Dragon in this deck. And I'm so glad this card got reprinted in Secret Rare for a super cheap price, because honestly, that card needed to come down. For our XYZs, we're running the single copy of the Odd Eyes Rebellion. We do not need normal Rebellion in this deck, so we're running Odd Eyes Rebellion to get us into Overlord. This is where the Odd Eyes Evolution thing happens, where all of the original Dimension Dragons had their evolutions in here. And we play a single copy of Absolute Dragon. Absolute Dragon, when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, as long as it was XYZ summoned, keep that in mind. It will come up in some kind of interactions, I feel. You can special summon any Odd Eyes monster from the extra deck you wish. So just keep that in mind. We play the 1 copy of Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This card is an interruption on our opponent's turn that allows us to pop it and bounce a card, as well as special summoning a persona from deck, which will allow us to interrupt them further. We play a single copy of the IP Masquerena, another card that just interrupts our opponent's plays, and can actually be used in unison with our one of our main bosses in this deck to make a very hard card to out. And we play a single copy of the Beyond the Pendulum. This card, you pay 1,200 life points, search any pendulum card you want, and then if you pendulum summon 2 arrows with 2 monsters at 2 different levels, which we can do very easily in this deck, you get to pop 2 cards. Then we play the single copy of the Exceed the Pendulum. I'm so glad this card came out, because this card's effect allows us to do what Electromite used to do, which is add cards from the extra deck back to hand, with the added benefits of she can actually special summon the card we're adding back to hand. So we could fusion summon using Dissolver, and then get Dissolver back into hand, or utilize Synchron and then get Synchron back into hand, because Synchron's effect, if it's pendulum summoned and then use a Synchro material, it banishes itself. So it allows us to get into all 3 of our pendulum cards, or all 3 of our Synchro monsters at some point. We play a single copy of the Blackluster Soldier of Chaos. This card is absolutely nuts. It takes 3 monsters of different names to summon, but when he's on the field, he is undestroyable by card effects, and I believe he's also he can gain attack, he can banish stuff, he can do double attack on the next turn. He's nuts. But the other card, which we're going to be summing off of IP Masquerena, usually, Boral Sword. It is undestroyable by battle, and with IP Masquerena, it becomes undestroyable by card effects, making it hard to out. Then we run into the same situation as before, where this card just becomes a really good beat stick with double attack. So that's it for the extra deck. Moving on to the side deck, and I'm not going to cut for this one. For extra deck options, we have Draco Berserker, the Tenyi, Ed Metaphys Horus, as well as a Red Ice Flare Metal, like I mentioned before, AA Zeus, Sky Thunder, and an Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Then for the main deck options, we play 3 copies of Ogre. I would play Ash, but I'm playing Ash in a different deck. 2 copies of MST. I just like the free pop 1 back row, 2 Super Poly, a Harpy's Feather Duster, again, free popping, Lightning Storm, and a Called by the Grave. That's it for the deck profile. I hope you guys like it. If you'd like to see what I have in my bag, I might do a video. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.